What's up, guys? Christopher Sweat, Gray Stack Media. I'm standing at Washington and Clark at the Daily Center. There's an event here right now that's framed through John Lewis's name, but we actually didn't hear about it through any of the community organizations in town, which made us question who was kind of putting it together. It looks like it's actually organized by Indivisible and potentially the ACLU. I don't really see it as like a protest or a march, but more of a version of Democrat Party politics ground game. So mixed throughout an array of anti-Trump signs are Democrat Party politics policies, or even maybe some of the third party policies like UBI and ranked choice voting. But there's a lot less signs around ICE or immigration. There's no Palestinian flags. It's really not a very diverse audience. It's a little bit older audience, but definitely not what we would typically cover. But we figured we needed to check it out anyway. There will be some speakers, but my thought is it'll be mostly institutional Democrat type speakers or funders, not really activists in the community. Where the activist action is taking place shortly is where we're about to head, which is at the Rush Medical Center.
We are incredibly honored to have DSA member and DSA endorsed 25th Ward Alderman Byron Sigcho Lopez.
When gender affirming care is under attack, what do? When trans rights are under attack, what do?
Rush, among other medical organizations, are now not going to be able to provide gender affirming care to minors, individuals under 18. That's causing quite a bit of tension in the activist community. You know, there's been quite a few big decisions that have come down this week. We saw the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, veto a bill that was going to allow Chicago Police Department to call snap curfews. The public is looking at the snap curfew in sort of a binary where you have these clusters of young people that are gathering, and at times it gets chaotic, and then occasionally there's a little bit of gunplay. So there's been a demand from community members to try to come up with a solution, really to prevent the young people from gathering. And so you've heard calls for tougher law enforcement, policies that make it harder for young people to loiter downtown in the city center. The objective of the bill that reached majority consensus in the City Hall in Chicago was to allow law enforcement to declare a snap curfew, and then what follows a snap curfew is the police ability to call for dispersion orders. Once law enforcement calls a dispersion order, then they have the ability to use crowd dispersion techniques all the way up to arresting people. Brandon Johnson argues that this policy is racist or has racist roots because snap curfews or various crowd dispersion techniques, he would argue, get deployed on Black and brown youth. There is some validity to that if you criminalize gathering, you'll start young people on this kind of supply chain to the Cook County criminal court system, where they may have been overcharged at the incident where they were told to disperse and now have to defend themselves in the court of law. And, you know, who knows what kind of representation will be available to them, or if any types of civil liberties or civil rights organizations will provide services to them, like more well-resourced people in the community. But needless to say, a majority of city council said, yes, law enforcement should be allowed to do snap curfew. And Brandon Johnson vetoed that yesterday. We were at an action that collected itself in the middle of the interior hallway of the city hall to celebrate that veto that came down from Brandon Johnson.